attack it that way, and then
Associated with
necessarily get the bananas. So the great thing about the Smokies is they're going to actually get the bananas, not the other teams like the tailgaters and the clowns and the other ones that are flying. So I think that's exciting. It's going to be great. And that venue, I know everybody's excited about Neelam, and man, that Smokies venue is just going to be great to watch the bananas.
Yeah,
it's going to be
I don't remember of any pro baseball game ever being played in Neyland Stadium. Now, New England came in here and I think played Pittsburgh, I believe, a long time ago in an exhibition NFL football game, but I don't believe there's ever been a baseball game played in Neyland Stadium. I can't recall.
How do you think they'll lay that out? I mean, I've seen enough, stadiums that have to, flip over after an NFL game, or after a baseball game. But I'm just curious for people who know you and how they'll orient the field, and it seems like it's going to be. I'm sure they'll sell out.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll sell out in minutes. I know that it's funny. I've got about 25 new best friends that have been texting me, asking for tickets the last week, and so.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah.
What row are we sitting on?
Well, I'll have to work that out. I'll have to work that out. You may have to sit on my lap if that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, we're ready to go with the Let Her Rip segment for this week. And last week, Billy Napier was fired at Florida and put his body in the graveyard of head football coaches from across the nation who have succumbed to the professionalism of college athletics. Napier was 3-4 this season with the Gators and ended his tenure at Florida with a 22-23 mark. In SEC games, he went 12-16, and in games involving ranked opponents, he was 5-17. And in games against ranked opponents away from home, he was perfect, 0-14. He becomes the first football coach since 1940 to leave Florida with a losing record. The reason for the firing did not meet the high expectations of the program. I don't disagree that Billy Napier wasn't able to meet the high expectations of Florida, but the manner in which he was fired is a little puzzling. The Gators lost to LSU the previous week in Baton Rouge, 20-10, and we're in the game despite a multitude of pass interceptions. That being said, why wasn't Billy Napier let go after the LSU game? Why did the powers to be wait until they beat Mississippi State at home to give him his walking papers? Looked to me like they were just parading him in front of their fire-hungry fans before throwing his remains to the lions. In other words, it was just thumbs down for the Florida coach. Caleb Giroux, not a surprise, that he was let go, but the manner?
Yeah, I thought it would have been perfect to let him go after the bye week because then you give your team a chance to, kind of settle in with a new coach. But I think he becomes the third or fourth coach in recent history to get fired after beating Mississippi State. So I don't know if that says something about Mississippi State or where you're going there. But, no, Florida is a place where if you don't win, they get tired of you really quickly. But my thing, Mike, is this athletic director, I don't think you can let him hire another football coach because you got to think about the guys recently who he's messed up. And I don't think Scott Strickland should be allowed to make this hire. With how much money Florida football makes and how good they are and can be, that's a national championship program, I don't think you can let him make this hire. He's messed up too much.
Yeah. Brian Johnston, I'm looking at this list of coaches. It's almost unbelievable that a little over halfway through the season there's been 9 coaches, I believe, let go, and I think that total comes in buyouts to about between 120 and 128 $128 million, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Chump change.
But I don't know, with letting these coaches go, they all want top coaches in these programs. Is there enough top names out there that can fill these jobs?
clearly not enough because you look at some of these top-tier guys like, I know James Franklin. I mean, yeah, he just can't seem to win that big game, but they were paying him a ton of money. And if you remember last year, or was it the year before, whenever it was that Ryan Day lost to Michigan, they were ready to run him out of town. Now, if you look on social media, Ohio State fans, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean, a lot of these coaches, if they experience any sort of hiccup, you're fired. I mean, I look back at Bobby Bowden. I mean, it took him a little bit to get to Florida State where we were a national power. I mean, he got hired in '76. Finally, in '98, we became really what we are today. I mean, that's 12 years. What coach lasts 12 years now? There's nobody. There's nobody lasting 12 years. I mean, who's got the longest tenure in college football right now in Power One or in the Power Five? I mean, is there anybody?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, is there anybody with 12 years? I can't think of anybody. Now
How long has Dabo Swinney been at Clemson?
Yeah, maybe Dabo.
But that's a unique case because
Right.
Clemson is not a program that was
right.
prevalent before.
Right. So I think that they're still living off of the past glory, and I wouldn't be surprised if Dabo gets fired because when he comes out and says all I do is win, and then he's not winning, that's kind of a problem.
And
So-
I think NIL is what's killing it too because you see coaches take over programs and win instantly and turn programs around. And the parity in this league, I mean, look at Georgia Tech. I mean, they're good at football again. And, and Vanderbilt is the same way. Clark Lee went over there and took over that program. It's very, very hard to give these head coaches leeway, Mike, when you talk about how much you're paying coaches, how much you're paying players, and with the transfer portal, how easy it seems to turn a program around.
Yeah, well, they don't have any choice because whatever program they go into, the large majority of those players leave.
Yep.
They go, so you really have no choice but to go to the portal and build your program. It's just kind of the way it is. But they had to pay Napier $21 million. That's quite a bit of money, I think.
Yeah, in the whole
for
scheme of
him.
things now, though, is that anything? I mean, $21 million. I mean,
when you're looking at James Franklin, they're put around $49 million.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
I guess that's a pretty good deal. But I was looking down through here. Sam Pittman, SEC coach, $9 million. They got a bargain there at Arkansas.
Yeah, they
at
did.
$9 million compared to everybody else. So.
Well, if you look at Florida State, they're about to fire, Mike Norvell. More than likely, he's at $58 million buyout. $58 million.
$58 million. Yeah, they just gave him an extension there.
Yeah.
What was it, a year or two ago?
Yeah, because they thought he was Alabama's first choice. Well, maybe he should have gone to Alabama.
Okay, let's put our hats on, and we're the athletic directors at a school, and we know what's out there. You got the UCLA job, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Penn State, Florida, Oregon State, and of course you got UAB and Colorado State thrown in there. But if you're the athletic director, who are you thinking about, Caleb? I know who I'm thinking about.
First off, how stupid does Arkansas look now? Not firing Sam Pittman last year because they wanted to save money. Arkansas would have been the only job open last year. Now it's one of – how many schools did you list there? 10? 9 schools? I mean,
9.
It's going to be – Arkansas is going to be way down the pecking order. I think Lane Kiffin's number one for any of these prominent programs, that are better than Ole Miss. But the problem too, Mike, is you bring the argument of in the NIL era and the transfer portal era, what's different now about Ole Miss than Florida? Lane Kiffin's won at Ole Miss. He's got NIL funds. He's hammered the transfer portal. He would be up there for me, and as a top guy for a lot of these jobs. And there's other people. People have mentioned guys like Marcus Freeman if he were to leave his alma mater for a program that'll support him better. But I don't think that would happen. But honestly, I feel like Lane Kiffin's number one right now on a lot of boards. And then you've got mid-major head coaches like down there in Florida. Alex Golish at USF has done a really good job. He's former Tennessee offensive coordinator. John Summerall at Tulane is another guy. But
Dillingham at Arizona State.
Yeah, that's another good one. But you're not. Are you firing your coach if you're Florida to hire a mid-major or a FCS head coach? Group of 5?
I probably should have read the list of the ones on the edge right here, but I'll go ahead and list those for Brian, and then he can answer the question. We got Mark Stoops up in Kentucky, Hugh Freeze at Auburn, Luke Fickell at Wisconsin, Mike Norvell, which you have mentioned at Florida State, Brian Kelly at LSU. He's starting to feel the heat down there a little bit. You got Mike Lockerly at Maryland, Shane Beamer at South Carolina and Dabo Swinney. Of course, he's going to, his buyout's about $60 million. But that's quite a list of coaches right there that are right on the edge, Brian.
Right, and then that just begs the question, like you mentioned, who do you hire? Who do you fill those, whatever that is, 17, 18 spots with? I mean, a lot of it, with the NFL, you just see guys move around. But college football is a little bit different. You can bring a guy up. I think Urban Meyer's a good example, coaching in Utah. I mean, what's Utah? And then he comes and has great success in Florida. I think you can find some of those gems out there. Obviously, they're around. I mean, I thought James Franklin did a great job bringing Vanderbilt back, and I thought he would have done a better job at Penn State. But who knows? I mean, I think a lot of those guys that are winning in programs that, that don't matter, like Indiana. I mean, for crying out loud, I think everybody.
Their coach came from James Madison.
Yeah, everybody was ready to hire him now, and then Indiana pays him, more than anybody except Kirby.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness.
They came right out and upped his ante to take him right out of the hunt right now. They didn't want anything interrupting their year, which was smart, I thought.
Well, here's what he has to hope for. He has to hope for next year to start out 0-5, and they fire him, and then he has a buyout that's $80 million, and he can just go fish.
And James Franklin will be employed, I bet, by the end of this coaching cycle.
That's the guy.
When
I'm looking at Florida, I'm saying, well, you want championships. Everybody wants championships, but first of all, you got to win. You're not even winning right now,
right?
And with James Franklin that he's going to get you back on the winning. It's proven that he can turn a program around and get him on the winning mode. His big rap has been he hadn't been able to win championships or national championships, so to speak, Big Ten championships. But then you look at the Big Ten and you go, okay, you couldn't beat Ohio State, and you had trouble with Michigan and winning the big games, but who else were beating those people?
Right.
So you get that scenario. But I like him for a program that's looking for somebody to get their feet back on the ground and get going. I think he's the best guy out there.
I'd seen some rumblings on the Twitter thingy there that Virginia Tech is looking hard at James Franklin.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
That would fit. He fits the culture of that program, and he can recruit that area because Penn State. I mean, it's hard to get kids to want to play at Penn State.
Right.
Yeah, here you got Tennessee. We're going to talk about Tennessee now, and then Josh Heupel last year, took Tennessee to the playoffs, and so far this year they struggled against Mississippi State. Lucky to win, very fortunate to win in overtime, and then they had a close call there with Arkansas. Basically, the Razorbacks ran out of a little bit of time right there at the end. They won that one by 34-31. Tennessee did, and then last weekend they just went down there to Alabama and played a top 10 team and just had all kinds of trouble. But Jacob, the Vols lost in Tuscaloosa. What do you think led to the downfall down there last Saturday?
Yeah, I would sum that up with, the same Tennessee stuff that we've seen under Josh Heupel. This was probably, though, the least competitive game he's played against Alabama in his tenure, which I think says something. It's just self-inflicted mistakes. I mean, that sequence before halftime was brutal. Oof. Everybody knows you're going to throw the ball, but you still come out in that jumbo package and run play action. Again, everybody in the stadium knows you're throwing the ball. And
had no choice.
Yeah, with the time and no timeouts. And when you look at that situation, if he throws it a little better, is it a touchdown? Sure, but he didn't, and so it ended up being a pick six. So that sequence is one you circle. I mean, even at the end of the game, just these late game sequences under head coach Josh Heupel, sure, they were trying to cut it from a 3-score game to a 2-score game, but they passed up a field goal and went for a touchdown and didn't get it and just took themselves out of the game immediately. Yeah. So penalties hurt. That defense is getting worse, I feel like, by the week. And Ty Simpson, Westview alum, for people around here who know of Westview from when Alcoa would run up against them, he's looked really good, and he's getting better every week. Tennessee's defense couldn't tackle, played very soft coverage, and he just took advantage of it. Yeah. And that was really the story of the game. I think, honestly, if you look at that pick six, if that doesn't happen, we might be talking about a different story, Mike.
Yeah, Brian, everybody wants to talk about the play before the half and the pick six, but and they went in, and I thought, well, they're out of the game. This is too big a deficit to come back from, but they came out the second half and scored, and I thought, well, everything looks good. They kind of got the momentum back. They've adjusted, and they can get right back into the game. and then Bama had that 95-yard brutal drive, and they scored. And I think that was the sequence right there, in my opinion, that really put that game away.
Yeah, not being able to get them off the field in third down. I mean, although it seems like now, I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, it feels like everything's 4-down territory.
Yeah.
Back when I was a kid, I mean, fourth down, if it was 4th and inches, brother, you're punting. It doesn't matter. But now all this analytics, and you see it pop up on the screen. Analytics says to go from here. It's 4th and 5. Go.
Yeah.
It makes the game different, and I think that we see more of those 95-yard sustained drives because it's 4-down territory just about everywhere.
Yeah.
Tennessee's on the wrong side of it on both sides too, because their defense is awful on 3rd and 4th down, and then the offense, the defense is bad. Might as well go for it. I mean, your best defense at that point is more offense.
Yep.
So, and I also think too, when you've got kickers now who kick 50-plus yard field goals, it eliminates the fact of punting.
Yep.
Because you're so close to field goal range all the
I'll
time.
tell you what hurt them on 3rd down a lot against Bama, and this hadn't been discussed a whole lot, is the fact that they dropped a lot of passes. They dropped a lot of passes out there.
It's like they run their football gloves through butter before they take the field,
Yeah.
whereas Alabama was putting glue. I mean, Ty Simpson probably didn't have his best game of the season, but, Ryan Williams looked a lot more like Ryan Williams. Jeremy Bernard looked really good. They were making great plays, and even when they weren't open. So when you take a defense like Tennessee's where the defensive backs are iffy, I mean, Colton Hood on one side is really good. Then you got a freshman on the other who's not the best or struggling right now. And you pair that with receivers who played as well as Alabama, it's a recipe for disaster.
That ball secondary, if they couldn't knock a pass down, they were going to commit pass interference. That's kind of what it looked like the other night.
Hey, and if you caught the ball too, you were scoring. I think all 3 of us could break some tackles against that defense.
But Brian, I found some positives out of that game.
Let's hear it.
The ball punter, Jackson Ross. He punted the ball down there on the 1-yard line when Tennessee had turned things around, and then you had the big drive. And then I thought the offensive line, looking at the pass protection for Joey Aguilar, they continue to give him a lot of time, I think, back there to throw the ball. I mean, he's getting some really good protection. I mean, that wasn't a problem throwing the ball on that interception as far as anybody getting to him. I mean, I think they got to him right there at the first of the game, and that was pretty much it. So, and then you had Deshaun Bishop, 123 yards, the running back. So I thought I thought his night was pretty impressive. So there was some positives out of the game that a lot of people overlook. Of course, they do when you get beat.
Well, the only negative about that, Mike, is when you start a conversation with the punter looked really good, it's typically not awesome.
Yeah. But I thought it was a big play.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
for
a big
sure.
play at the time.
For sure.
So, yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, here's a question. Tennessee now has lost 2 football games. Can they run the table, Caleb, and still get back into the playoff picture?
I mean, if the question is if they run the table, are they in the playoff picture? Yes. I don't know if they will run the table. You've got Vanderbilt, who with Diego Pavia against Tennessee's defense, I'm curious to see what that would look like.
But you got Vandy at the last game of the year.
Yeah.
You don't know where Vandy's going to be at that particular time.
That is true. And with the way Diego Pavia plays football, he might be injured by that point 'cause he takes a lot of hits. But then you also got Oklahoma coming
and
into
they're not
Neyland
deep.
Yep, and you've got Oklahoma coming into Neyland Stadium with John Mateer, who's getting healthier by the week and one of the best defenses in the SEC. That one scares me.
And they got Ole Miss today.
Yep.
Tennessee
next week.
Sweet.
And then you've got New Mexico State, and then you're on the road to Florida, which we know Tennessee is not good in Gainesville, and then you go to on the road to Kentucky today. So I think if Tennessee runs the table, they're in the playoff picture. My thing, though, Mike, is Tennessee's going to be a victim of its circumstances because it's tough to put a team in the playoff. At that point, Tennessee would have no marquee wins, I feel like. Maybe Vanderbilt or Oklahoma.
No, they don't have any.
But how do you put a team in the play? They would have the 2 best losses. But how do you put a team in the playoff that didn't win a big game?
Right.
Especially if there's other 10-2
They've lost to Alabama.
opportunities.
They've lost to 2 ranked teams, Alabama, and they lost to Georgia. And they've only got 2 left on the schedule as we talk today, Brian, and that's Oklahoma and Vandy. So, I mean, the chances of them moving up, of course, the way I see it, or I've seen it, is Tennessee seems to make their greatest stride in the polls when they're off. and everybody beats everybody
Yeah,
else
I mean-
up, and they drop about 5 or 6 spots. So I don't know, but they don't have many off. I think they got maybe one more off week. I don't have to
Yeah,
check. But
And I
after Oklahoma, they're
I
off.
think that's the changing landscape with NIL is you've got teams that normally wouldn't beat some of these teams that are now beating teams in the top 10. So I think if Tennessee were to win out, I think they're in the playoff because there's a lot of people that are going to lose just head-scratching games.
Yep.
And you're going to get to the end and somebody's going to beat somebody. You're going, well, holy crap, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just going to happen. So if Tennessee wins out, I think without a doubt they're in the playoff.
I just don't think anybody's going to run too many teams. Maybe Ohio State. Indiana's schedule looks pretty favorable, but they probably, if they win out regular season, they're going to play Ohio State in the championship game, Big Ten. I don't know. There's not going to be very many teams that's going to run the table with perfect records, is what I'm saying. Then you're looking at one-loss teams, and then you may be starting to look at some two-loss teams because in the SEC, the best league in America, they're beating up on each other. You see, and so. And you look up there, and I hate to bring this up down here, but you look up there at Notre Dame, their schedule is just real favorable the rest of the year.
Yep.
And they finished 10-2, and they don't have a championship game, and their only losses would be to a few points to Miami and a one-pointer to, or a two-pointer, one-pointer, or two. I guess it was a one-pointer to Texas A&M. So there you go. I think two's looking better.
Yep.
I wouldn't go to 3.
No, and it just I think it just depends, like you mentioned, Mike, on what happens to the other teams. Because if you have teams lose to unranked teams, then Tennessee looks a lot better losing to Georgia and at Alabama. But if a lot of these teams hold serve, then Tennessee I think has the least argument to make the playoff, which I think would worry Tennessee fans. But hey, last year at 10-2, made it in, so could do it again this year.
Yeah. Brian, Tennessee's got Kentucky tonight, and we're sitting here talking about playoffs. And who was the NFL coach several years ago? Somebody asked me about the playoffs. Playoffs.
Yeah.
I can't remember who was the Colts coach up there. I don't
Yeah.
know, a long time ago. But here we are talking, and this is a Tennessee team that's got to go up to Kentucky tonight and play a late game. You wonder where they're at. They lost the big game down there at Alabama, and they've heard all the talk this week about. Gosh, I even heard a little bit of talk about Josh Heupel being in the Butch Jones category. Starting off really well and playing good. Now look at us. We're struggling with bottom tier teams in the SEC, and so I don't know what kind of mentality we're looking at.
Well, and how good is Texas? I mean, Kentucky should have beat Texas. Who knows what's going on with all this? And at the end of the day, who has all the ranked wins? It's Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't everybody else have one? And that kind of what I saw today. Everybody else in the country has one ranked win.
Yeah.
Alabama has a very tough schedule, at least front-loaded wise. But to your point too, Kentucky beat Ole Miss last year, and that threw a wrench into Ole Miss's playoff plans. So we're talking about the playoffs. Tennessee might go up there and drop a dud. I mean, that's a tough place to play for the simple fact because it's always cold and rainy, and it's like a high school stadium.
Right.
So it's very hard to get up for that game, and it's going to be late tonight.
But
like
Tennessee
you said,
has owned Kentucky. They've owned them. I mean, they've won the last 4, and Kentucky's been in some of those games the last 4, and maybe should have won maybe a couple of them. But Tennessee's come through. But this is just a huge game for Tennessee, and you've got them sandwiched between Alabama and Oklahoma, two ranked teams, and Kentucky have no pressure on them whatsoever, Brian. They're playing for pride, and Mark Stoops, he's playing for his job, so to speak.
Yeah.
But they've got everything on the line, and the fact that they're averaging around 44 points a game, and Kentucky's been over 20 points, twice this year, I think. And you're thinking, well, how can Tennessee just be an 8.5-point favorite when they're scoring 44 and they can't even get over 20 points a game? It's a little bit baffling. What are we missing here that the line is where it is right now?
Yeah. I'll be betting on it.
Yeah. Well, it's time to take a break. When we return, I'll provide some high school scores from last night, football scores, and some other news from around the area. And then Caleb Giroux will be in to substitute for Marcus Fitzsimmons in the segment Mark It Down. You're listening to the GOTee Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, B.F. Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensonTire.net.
Welcome back to the Goatee Sports Page. I'm Mike Edwards, and I'm here with Brian Johnson of Goatees and Caleb Jarrett from the Daily Times. And Caleb, by golly, last night in high school football, about the only teams in this county that won were the 2 Blue Bloods, Maryville and Alcoa. And I think we can call them Blue Bloods because year in and year out, they're the teams to beat in the state, huh?
Yeah, it was tough sledding for – and what made it worse too, Mike, is every team that wasn't Maryville and Alcoa was fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
And I think our only team – Eagleton will make the playoffs.
Yeah, they're in because there's only four teams.
Maryville and Alcoa are obviously in. And then Greenback's got to play in next week. But Heritage and William Blount are both mathematically eliminated after last night.
Yeah. Well, let's go through these scores. Maryville defeated Bradley Central 43-7. Oh, maybe a little bit of surprise. Bradley Central came in at 6-2 and 3-1 in the league, but Maryville took care of. Maryville was 7-1 going in and 4-0. So Maryville looks to be the front runner for that spot.
Yeah, and I was honestly surprised in that game, Mike, because Bradley Central's easily probably the 3rd best team in that region, especially when you look at Oak Ridge and Maryville and how far ahead they are right now. And Maryville started with 2 picks on its first 2 drives, and Bradley Central kept them scoreless in the first quarter, and then Maryville came out and hung 36 on them in the second. So it was a Maryville team that woke up, especially on homecoming.
They did the same thing the week before.
Yeah.
You know, they had a bad, slow start. Yeah.
And now they've secured a region championship matchup with Oak Ridge next week. That'll be a Thursday game. And it's probably two of the top 5 teams in 6A are going to be facing off tomorrow night at Maryville.
Be a great week
next week.
Yeah.
Who wins that one?
It'll be. You want me to pick the game on the?
Yeah, come on.
I'll go Maryville. Yeah. I think the home field will help. Oak Ridge is really, really good at defensive back and wide receiver. They have a really good quarterback as well. But I think Maryville's kind of altogether the better team. The only thing that'll hurt Maryville, though, in that game, if they were to lose, it'll look a lot like the Alcoa game, where Oak Ridge is able to, take advantage of Maryville's DBs, which is the same thing Alcoa did. Alcoa would run the ball, hold the ball, hold time of possession, and then just throw it up to a wide receiver at the end. So I think that's the only way that they would lose in this game, is if they're able to take advantage of the DBs. But I would go Maryville just because, they run the ball good, they throw the ball good. They're well coached, and it'll be a home game, which I think in 6A especially, playing at home helps a lot.
Yep. Knox Central defeated William Blunt 40-39 last night, and what a heartbreaker for the Governors, because really they led this game up until I think the last couple of minutes, and Central put the points up more and kicked the extra point, won the game 40-39, and spoiled the Governors' chances of a playoff. The Govs came in at 5-3, and they're now 5-4. And I think they've got Campbell County, so they're going to have a winning record, Caleb, at 6-4, but they're not going to be in the playoffs.
No,
kind of disheartening.
And honestly, even if William Blunt won that game last night against Central, they were still an outside shot at the playoffs. But it's a William Blunt team that, they're hurting right now because, as we'll talk about with Heritage too, this was the year they expected to be good and to make the playoffs under Robert Reeves. And they have a very good senior class. And Jackson Dabrowski showed out last night against Central quarterback Caden Long, two of the best quarterbacks in the area, going head-to-head. Dabrowski went 14-24 with 225 yards. And listen to this, Mike. Total yards of offense, 541 yards for William Blunt, 504 for Central. So absolutely no defense being played in that game.
Yeah.
But what hurt William Blunt in the end was on its first drive it threw a pick, and on its last drive it threw a pick.
Yeah.
And that came back to bite them in a game where, neither team was getting a lot of stops.
Yeah. Alcoa continued their winning ways, 42-0 over Carter. Carter came in at 6-2 and 4-1, and of course Alcoa was 8-0 and 5-0 going into last night's game, and just really ran away from a fairly good Carter team on the year.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can compete right now with Alcoa. They'll face off with Anderson County next week at Anderson County for the region championship, and truthfully, probably Anderson County, Greenville, and a team I'm missing from somewhere else in the state are the only teams that can compete with Alcoa, right? Because they're just on a completely different level.
Yeah. South Green defeated Eagleton 27-13. Eagleton went into that contest at 6-2 and 1-1 in the league, and really Eagleton, Caleb, is playing for positioning the playoffs.
Yeah, and that was their last non-region game against South Green. It would have been a region game last year, which is why they play those. But you got to feel for Eagleton too, because in that 2A division, that 2A classification, every away game they have that's not in the region is over 2 hours away, or 1.5 hours in this case. So they went up to South Green, and it's just trying to get better, like you said, for the region games and for the postseason, because I think next week they'll be playing for a chance to clinch a share of that region title and host a playoff game, which, I mean, not having to drive over 2 hours for a playoff game would be pretty nice if you're Eagleton.
Yeah. Cofield rivalry game here, Cofield
yeah.
and Greenback. I mean, that's been going on for a long time, and Cofield won it 35-0 over Greenback, and Greenback had been playing better. They came into the game at 4-4 and 3-2 in their league, but no match for Cofield last night.
No, and I know the Cofield head coach was complimentary of Greenback and how much better they're playing right now. But Cofield, it continues to be a state power, and it'll be between them and South Pittsburgh for who comes out of East Tennessee for the state championship again, I would assume.
Yep. In another heartbreaker, game playing for playoffs, concern would be Gibbs 17 over Heritage at 14. Heritage came in at 3-4 and 2-3, and Gibbs was 6-2 and 3-2, but a heartbreaking defeat for Heritage. They're pretty much eliminating their hopes for the playoffs.
Yeah, and Gibbs is an interesting offense because they run kind of a wing tee sort of deal, and it gets to the point where they can either run the ball and get in that wing tee with fullbacks in the backfield, or they can throw it on you, and they do a lot of screen passes. But Heritage's defense came up strong and held them scoreless, or held them to 3 in the first half, which set up a second half where both teams kind of came out. And at the end of the day, Gibbs just wore down Heritage and was able to run the ball on them and got a pair of touchdowns in the second half, and Heritage couldn't get into the end zone. And it was also a game that was full of penalties. It was a game on TV, so the old adage of, get primetime game, officials have to come out, but, Heritage was penalized 9 times for 74.5 yards, and Gibbs was penalized 8 times for 85 yards.
Yeah.
Caleb, what was that word that you used a second ago? Was it fullback?
Yeah, in 2025.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they got 3 of them.
Holy cow. I got to watch one of those games.
They got 3 of them, and then they split them out for screen passes. Both their touchdowns actually were on little screen passes of 56 yards and 40 yards.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, the playoff situation in Blount County, Eagleton's in. We just don't know where they're going to be.
Yep.
Alcoa is in, and Maryville is in, and looks like they're going to have the number 1 spots. Huh?
Yeah, assuming they win this week, they will have the number 1 spots.
Alcoa goes to Anderson County. Is that
Alcoa
correct?
goes to
and
Anderson
that's
County.
A lot of people think that'll be a test for them. Huh?
I am curious to see what happens in that one. I think Anderson County has been an interesting case this year because it's a team that has a lot of transfers, a lot of, college coaches are watching that team with guys like Jason Thompson, who ran for 7 touchdowns last night against South Doyle. But they haven't been able to put it together. Their quarterback broke his collarbone in the first or second week of the season, which hurt them. So now they don't have a true thrower at quarterback. They've put a wide receiver back there. And there's obviously, talks of the team issues when you have, so many transfers come in like you see in college as well with, maybe team chemistry or timing is off there. But for anybody who's been to Anderson County and watched a football game, that place puts on, especially on Halloween night, it'll be a rocking environment. They'll have the fireworks out. They do a full show over there. So it'll be an interesting one for Alcoa. I think that's a game they should pull out. Some coaches in the region have told me it would be a mercy rule, honestly. But I'm still curious to see because you got to play the games at the end of the day.
Yeah. Looking at the other 2 county schools, William Blount and Heritage, as far as something to build on, I think William Blount has got Campbell County. Campbell County.
Yep.
In their final game. Good chance they're going to finish at 6-4. Something to build on.
Yep.
6-4, and Heritage. Unfortunately, they had a game that was canceled earlier in the year.
Yep.
So they're not going to make it to 500. So it's unfortunate that game was canceled, and with the last game left, they could have gotten to 500. So. That's kind of where they're at. But we got 3 teams in. We'll see how it goes here after next week, and the playoffs are already here. It's almost unbelievable. The high school season is already gone.
What else?
Gone.
What else was unbelievable was how cold it was last night.
Yeah.
So I did not dress appropriately for that.
Yeah. And before we go back to some more college football, Jake or Caleb, is there anything else going on in the county? High school.
High school wise, all of our schools were eliminated. William Blount for volleyball lost in the state sectional to
that was a hard one.
Yeah, to Science Hill. That was one they really wanted, and they had the pep band out, hype video, everything, and ended up losing. And honestly, that was just Science Hill played better that day, and William Blount didn't have it. Easy as that. All of our soccer teams have been eliminated. Shout out to Greenback Soccer, though. Mike, they won their first district tournament, I think in school history, and made it farther than any other team, ended up losing in the sectionals. So all of our fall sports are complete. We've got cross country this week on Tuesday in a region meet. And Alcoa, of course, is supposed to expected to be doing good in that. Maryville as well. They just had the Blount County Championship, which Maryville took home. And then from here on out, it's football, and then basketball will be here before you know it.
Yeah, I think the basketball jamboree, it normally takes place there around the 1st of November, so it's coming up. They usually open up around, the 3rd week of November?
Yeah, and usually that week after Thanksgiving is all the Christmas tournaments, and then everybody's starting to play. So that'll be fun here shortly. And
so we'll have high school
football.
Basketball in the county going on and playoffs going on. So
Who's going to be the team to beat this year in basketball?
Yeah.
In basketball, well, you look across the county, Alcoa is expected to be good again. Obviously, they return a lot of talent. And the good thing about Alcoa is it's your traditional, what I would say is traditional high school structure where your football players – play the playoffs, and then they go play for the basketball team. So they'll have guys like Jameer Dean out there who's getting SEC football offers. He'll be really good. Condis Cherry is another guy. His brother was really good at Austin East, one of their best players in program history. He's been a really good point guard for them. And then they've got some talent as well, or some size, I'd say, in the post. So that's a team I'd expect to compete. Maryville will be interesting to see. They return last year's Daily Times Player of the Year, Jonathan Woodley, at their point guard, and they've got a couple big men as well, the Sigmund brothers. I want to say the older Sigmund is 6'9", but the big thing for him has just been learning how to play in the post. So that's a team I would expect to compete again. And then you look at William Blount and Heritage as well to round out the county. Eli Williams for Heritage, one of their best players in program history. He returns for his senior season. They're supposed to have Gavin French on the court as well. He's going to be a D1 baseball prospect who didn't play football this year, so he could focus on baseball. But he wants to play with Eli for their last season together, so he's going to be on the court for Heritage. They should be competitive. William Blount Boys basketball should be good. On the girls' side, Heritage coming off a state championship. They've got to replace a lot of talent, but a lot of those girls are still there and know how to play with the bright lights. Alcoa is always good on the girls' side. They'll return a lot from last year. And then both Maryville and William Blount are kind of rebuilding on the girls' side, so we'll see what they look like. And then over at Eagleton, they'll be good too, especially in small school basketball. Since their school has opened with Scott West as the coach traditionally, they've been good. So I'd say, I mean, I hate to keep ragging on the Blue Bloods, but on the boys' side, it'll probably be them leading the way again. And the good thing about basketball in this county is everybody loves to play each other. So probably by January or February, we'll know who the best teams in the county are because they'll have played against each other. And on the girls' side, I'll lean, Heritage just because, those girls won a state championship last year and know what it takes to get to the end. Obviously, replacing a lot with Carson Swaney going on to MTSU, but that'll be a team I'm excited to see what they bring. But yeah, I mean, 1 week until we get Jamboree and we'll start rolling out season previews. So Blount County basketball is always super good, and these teams like Maryville and Alcoa both sign up for these high-powered tournaments, like the Turnkey tournament put on by a national syndicate usually takes place at Webb and CAK, and I think last year Maryville ended up playing the state champion from Alabama 6A in that tournament. So that's, usually by December you can tell who's going to be good and who's not just by the schedule these teams play.
Yeah. Brian Johnston, for years and years here in Blount County in basketball, they had the Blount County tournament, with all the teams, like the Jamboree, but it was a tournament. And I always thought it would, be good to bring that back. I don't know if there's been much talk about it or not, but these basketball teams are now kind of in different leagues. The argument back then is, well, we play 2 times during the league, or during the season. We don't want to play a tournament after we already played a couple of times. But they're in different leagues, so to speak. A lot of them now, and I just think it'd be a great idea to bring that deal back. It'd really be great. Of course, I know you got football going on, and you see the enthusiasm they have in the Jamboree. A lot of people come out to the Jamboree. Of course, it's kind of a meaningless night, so to speak. But they all like to come out because everybody's together. All the schools are there, and I just thought, boy, what if you just came right out of the gate with a tournament, to start the year.
So what you're saying is we need the Goatees Blount County
Yeah.
tournament hosted by the Greenfield Gunner.
Well, I don't know. I don't.
And reported on exclusively by Caleb Giroux.
Have the Greenfield Gunner MC the night.
And I coached in the county, and I saw the argument in past years, where you played teams a couple of times. You don't play them again because you're probably going to see them again in the district tournament, maybe even in the region tournament if you make it back to that. And I just think that it would be guys, if you could do it early, that would be wonderful, because you think of all the people at the Jamboree. Just think how many people come out if it really meant something. If the games really meant something. But I'd kind of like to see them bring it back.
I'll get on that.
Yeah.
I think basketball would be easier to do it for, but I was talking to a couple softball coaches who are thinking about doing something like that, where they have,
great idea.
maybe two host sites close together. Maybe like a Maryville Alcoa or William Blount Heritage both host.
Yeah.
And then you have all the teams play a little round robin on a Saturday.
Yeah, it's wide open, because things that you could do would be like you'd have the girls tournament and the boys tournament at the same time, and you could maybe play the first round game as an in-school game at Heritage, and the first round boys game at William Blount. Well, you'd pack that. Students coming down there
In-school games are the best.
They are.
They are.
You get all the kids involved, and you get them down there. It'd be a moneymaker, for the and then bring them back. For the night sessions, later on in the week. But there's a lot of possibilities there. Somebody kind of wake up and say, hey, maybe we ought to think about this again,
William Blount Heritage tested last year playing volleyball in school the day that William Blount Heritage played football. And it was such a standout event that they've went ahead and put that on the schedule every year. For whatever day the football teams are playing, the volleyball teams will play in school, because you can't really replicate that environment. And I feel like for basketball, it would be 2 times as amped, because Maryville Alcoa basketball games go crazy, get high energy.
Yeah.
Heritage,
you got that
William
tournament
Blount.
going on there, and you give them nice big trophies, let them cut down the nets. You could make a big deal out of this.
Cut
Get
down
the
the
pictures
nets.
taken,
Yeah,
give out
absolutely.
the top 5 players in the tournament, and it could be sky could kind of be a limit. And Blount County sports are, they're some of the best sports in the state. It's just another way to take advantage of the opportunities.
Yeah.
I think we'll see. All right, let's talk back to a little bit to Tennessee football. We got some time, Caleb.
Yeah,
All
got
right.
5 minutes.
Number 17, Tennessee journeys to Lexington for a showdown with arch rival Kentucky Wildcats tonight. The Vols entered the game with a 5-2 mark, while Kentucky has posted a struggling 2-4. The game time is set for 7:45 and can be seen on the SEC network. And at last looking, I think Tennessee was favored by around 8.5 points or thereabouts. But Kentucky lost last week, Caleb, and I'll start with you, 16-13 in overtime to Texas. Texas was one of those teams that was ranked, I think, in the top 5. I think top 5 to start the year.
Yeah.
And they've just come. Arch Manning just hasn't, blossomed there at quarterback like they would hope, and having trouble scoring points. But I didn't think that game would be 16-13 with Arch Manning at quarterback up there at Lexington. That was a surprise to me. But does that give them some incentive going into this game tonight that they can feel like, well, we can play with anybody?
Yeah, I think, you mentioned the line was at 8.5. It's moved down to 7.5. So I'd say bettors are thinking the same thing about Kentucky in this one. But that's Kentucky's brand of football, is just to play ugly football, low scoring, try to beat you in the trenches. And Mark Stoops probably has his worst team at doing that, but they succeeded against Texas. And honestly, I don't know if it was more good on Kentucky or more bad on Texas in that game, but I think it's certainly scary because Kentucky now has confidence it can play with big teams. But on the flip side, Tennessee saw that game and knows it can't just cakewalk in Lexington. So I think it's a mix of both. Again, this is an easy trap game, I would feel like, for Tennessee. Like I said, 7:45 kick, you're favored. You've dominated this team. No team in college football has played and beaten Kentucky more than Tennessee. So it's one of those where, on the flip side, you wake up because you see Texas played them close. But, yeah, I don't know. This is one that feels weird, and it's always weird when Tennessee goes to Lexington because it's never a blowout, like you mentioned earlier. I want to say 2 years ago, Joe Milton had to drive the field to get a go-ahead touchdown to secure the game.
Yeah. This game is sandwiched right between Bryan, Alabama, and Oklahoma. And I've always felt like when you lose a game, the next week it's a lot easier, to come in because you're trying to redeem yourself, get yourself back on. You got a lot of incentive to play. On the other hand, if you win a big game, if you win the Alabama game, you'd be a little bit concerned about big game next game. You usually don't play as well, after a big win as you do a loss. So the way I kind of look at this is it's a better game, so to speak, than having to play Oklahoma this week. It's sort of get your head back in, get the cobwebs out, get back on track. Build a little bit of momentum here, get yourself to, doing the things you need to do, and then you can focus on another ranked team. I think it's a good opponent to have, right, even though it is Kentucky and they're playing up there. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought Kentucky gave Ole Miss all that they wanted, and clearly they gave Texas all that they wanted. They got blown out by, who was it?
Well, Georgia went away from them in the second half.
And then I think South Carolina.
South Carolina.
But, man, Kentucky could be the best 2-5 team in the country. If there is such a thing. But you just don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. And you get a rivalry game like that, you've just seen it all the time. Crazy stuff happens. Turnovers make such a big difference. They're amplified in a game like this. I don't know. I got my money on Tennessee, but good grief, it's
on paper you would think, what's the problem here?
Right, exactly.
We've got an offense that can score a lot of points, and we got a running game. We got to run. Deshaun Bishop back there is running the ball well. The offensive line's protecting the quarterback, and what's the holdup right here? Kentucky's not scoring very many points. I don't get it. I don't see it.
I've learned you can't doubt Vegas, though. They know something
we
don't.
They know something.
It is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, I've never seen a bookie with a side gig.
Yeah.
So.
Well, here's some other statistics to throw out because I think that Kentucky's going to have to really have a great defensive game. They're going to have a defensive game like they had against Texas, keep the score down. There's no doubt about it, because their offense ranks 105th nationally in total offensive output.
Yeah, that's rough.
And 104th in scoring. And Tennessee's a 7.5 point favorite.
Yeah.
You're saying they've had one game. I said 2. I was mistaken. I gave them twice as much credit. They've only had one game over 20 points in the SEC this year.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
and it was
just
against Ole
unbelievable.
Miss, which doesn't have the best defense. I don't know. I think playing late, and you know, when you, like I mentioned earlier, when you play late in Lexington, you're not talking about a big crowd. You're talking about it's going to be no energy in there. But I think it was you who mentioned it earlier, Mike. Kentucky has nothing to lose. They're just playing spoilers so far this season, and you know, for these guys who are trying to put film on tape for the transfer portal for whatever inevitable coaching change is going to happen, they want to show out against good teams like this, and they have nothing to lose, and there's nothing scarier than a team with nothing to lose.
I look at that line, and I want to call out there and say, do you realize this is a football game and not a basketball game? You know, Tennessee's not going up there to play round ball tonight. But what does Kentucky need to win? I've written some things down here, and we can look at it as the game goes on. They've got to capitalize on all scoring opportunities if given a short field. They need to score. That means if Tennessee turns the ball over on a short field, don't rely on field goals to beat Tennessee tonight. You're going to have to score touchdowns in order to win. Forget about not winning a home SEC game since 2023. That's the other amazing statistic. They haven't won a home SEC game in 2 years. The defense, as we mentioned, needs to play lights out. They need to get some turnovers, and they'll need to score touchdowns, not field goals. And they need to keep the Tennessee defense on the field. And golly, I think that Kentucky has moved the ball in their offense. They just haven't been able to put anything. Their offense stalls, you know, as it gets down toward the goal line. So that's where they're at. You know, they've got to keep the game short. Tennessee, on the other hand, score points, score them early, use that up-tempo offense, work the defense of Kentucky, but get on Kentucky. If Tennessee gets up by a couple of scores early, you can start feeling pretty good about things. I think if they have the fast start out of the gate, they lead the nation. Tennessee leads the nation in first downs. They rank second nationally in offensive scoring at 44.1 points per game. Put it up, go for it, make some big plays, get up on the board, make Kentucky play catch up, and it's over.
Yeah,
that's the way I look at it.
Kentucky can't catch up. I agree.
Put the pressure on the Kentucky defense. Make big plays that lead to scores with your receivers. Maybe Deshaun Bishop can break a big play. Set up the passing game with the run game. Limit penalties. That's been a big problem with Tennessee in some of these games. And need a solid game from Joey Aguilar. And I want to talk a little bit about him, the rap on him. Caleb and Brian, was the fact that he threw interceptions at the other places he's played. And we've seen that. We've seen that here. He's thrown them.
Yeah, and I think
we got to live with them.
I think he's gotten away with some, and I think he's been better than he was at App State as well. Some of these weren't his fault. I mean, you think about you've got receivers falling down, that sort of thing that hasn't helped him. But yeah, you've seen interceptions. You've also seen a lot of good from Joey Aguilar, and you know, I feel like Tennessee's probably still in a better position with him than it would have been without him. So I guess you just got to live with the good and the bad, Mike, and that's what you get when you get a quarterback in June.
Yeah. Tennessee leads the series 85 wins to Kentucky's 26. There's been 9 ties, and the Vols have won the last 4. Caleb mentioned the weather, Brian. This game was usually played down toward the end of the year, but they've moved it. I remember I went over there, gosh, it's been several years ago. I think I looked at the clock there downtown and the temperature. You know, they'd run the temperature and then they'd run the time. They'd run the temperature. I think it was 15 degrees above zero. I went up there in the upper deck seats. That wind was coming across there. And I think Tennessee was up big at the half, and I just turned around. I couldn't feel a thing from the waist down. And I walked back to my car downtown, and I was out of there. But normally there's snow, and like you're saying, it's been cold and everything else. So this is going to be a perfect football night. So I don't know how either team's going to react to tonight, because it's going to be as perfect as it can possibly be. Hey, it's time to turn the page, and up next is the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment. You're listening to the Goatee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and now it's time for the Goatee Sports Page Player of the Week segment, sponsored by Anderson Lumber Company, where quality service is always a priority. Proudly serving Blount County for over 100 years. Jacob, why am I on Jacob? Huh? Caleb.
You didn't sleep.
I guess.
You didn't sleep well.
I guess I'm having these moments. Caleb, Tennessee. Let's talk about Tennessee's fans for a second here. Tennessee goes into the game tonight 5-2. Their only chance of getting to the playoff is to win out. They've got Oklahoma at home, and they've got Vanderbilt at home, and they've got to go down to Florida, a program that's sort of in disarray right now. All winnable games. If Tennessee does not go to the playoffs and ends up in a bowl game somewhere, where is this program?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the program is definitely better still than it was 5 years ago. But you also have to wonder how much slack do fans cut this coaching staff and this team for, having to go into the portal and get a quarterback like Joey Aguilar after the Nico Iamaleava saga in the spring. And that's probably the biggest question is how much slack is there and what does the fan base say? I'd say the program still, you're in an interesting spot where you wonder if you've peaked under Josh Heupel. Is 10-2 gonna be the peak with a outside shot at the playoff, or will they do better than that? You still haven't seen them win big games on the road like Alabama, but now they could go to Florida and win that one. We don't know what that'll look like yet. So it's an interesting one. I do think it's a good season too to ask if there needs to be changes, because you look at the defense, and you've had the same defensive staff since Heupel got here, and the defense has had a good year last year, but you still see years like this year and like 2022 where the offense plays good, but your defense gives up just about everything. So it's an interesting question. I'd say the program is definitely in a better spot than it was obviously 5 years ago with the NCAA allegations and everything. But you do wonder, is this the peak, or is there, can Tennessee hit at a higher level under Josh Heupel?
Brian, we're sort of hitting the good, bad, and the ugly, and I'm sort of on the ugly right now. We know they've got to win out. This Tennessee team's got to win out for a chance in the playoffs. 3 losses is probably not going to get it with their schedule. But I'm going to throw some things out here at you, because they've got great fan support around here. That stadium's filled over there. They're bringing on all kinds of money, and they play in the SEC, and they're on TV. And, I mean, the enthusiasm couldn't be any higher. But the facts are this football program has not won an SEC championship since 1998. They've not won a national championship since 1998. They won a division title in 2007, and they did go to the playoffs last season, but they were beaten handily by Ohio State, one of the blue bloods of college football. They've won a few bowl games, but 27 years, I mean, 27 years is a long time. Is the production with what's happened over the last 27 years meeting the expectations? A lot of the success on the program has been based on beating Georgia, beating Alabama, beating Florida. Hardly any success in that regard in the last 27 years. Where's the enthusiasm coming from? Just we're winning some football games right now. It's not championships.
They look fun. Made a playoff.
Win a big game here and there.
Got
maybe.
a Citrus Bowl.
I understand all of that. But is the production out there on the field meeting the expectations of where you want to be?
Well, as an outsider and reading a lot of UT social media, man, oh man, these Vol fans are hard to please. It's just, it's one day, Heupel is God, and the next day he's, a bum. It's just, it's hard to figure. I mean, I think you look at a team like Kentucky. I mean, here's a great way to look at it. They're 2-5, but I mean, I'm not gonna say that's the expectation at Kentucky every year. But you play a team like Texas close, you play a team like Ole Miss close. I mean, those are exciting things for a fan base like that. That's not exciting for Tennessee fans. And they don't want to play close games. They want to win games. And I understand that. But at the same time, you have to be realistic. And I think that who knows what's going to happen in the coming landscape of NIL. I mean, let's look at what's happened at Texas Tech. Who was Texas Tech 5 years ago? And I know my friend Jeff Schof will look at this. His son Will's working at Texas Tech right now. But that oil money is going to make a difference. If you look at the recruiting right now, the number one guy this, the number one guy that, they've all got Texas Tech on their board. Why? But they want to live in Lubbock? Nobody wants to live in Lubbock. But then you've got Texas Tech that's just running roughshod over a lot of great programs because of this NIL money. So I think that Mike Gundy had it right a couple of years ago when he said, forget the facilities, just take all your money and give it to players. They don't care about their locker anymore. They want to be driving around in a Lambo. That's the mindset of an 18 to 22-year-old. So I think if Tennessee wants to compete, with the other teams, well, I mean, let's just use Texas Tech as a for example. I mean, if they want to compete with the Texas Techs and the Texas and the people that have these wallets that are just unlimited, you got to start spending money on players. And, I know that they have been doing that somewhat, but my goodness, that seems to be what's going to separate certain teams. I mean, how did Nebraska land the number one quarterback prospect 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was? I mean, it wasn't because you want to live in Nebraska. Like you were saying, too, about Penn State. Who wants to go? I mean, it's freezing up there.
And there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Don't even have an airport.
I mean, you want to play in the South. I mean, you want to play football in the South. You want to live in the South. I mean, nobody wants to go through a football season up there where, one hit, you feel like your body's cracked into 1,000 pieces. I don't know. I just think that all the difference it's going to make right now in the next 5 years, it's going to be different beyond conference lines. I think just this NIL thing is going to get so out of hand, and you're going to have so many boosters that want to see their program do well, and I think the money is going to make the difference.
You're throwing all this money at it, Caleb. Tennessee's throwing money at it. Everybody's throwing money at it. Trying to win championships, trying to go to the playoffs, trying to win a national championship. But, it's never been harder than right now in the Southeastern Conference. There's more schools. There's more schools in the Southeastern Conference than there was back in my day when I played in the Southeastern Conference and when they had two divisions. At least when you had two divisions, you had an Eastern and a Western champion, and then you played in the had a playoff game. But now you're just one great big league. I mean, if you win an SEC regular season title, you're talking about big time stuff, based on your schedule in this conference.
Back in your day, Mike, y'all were still playing against like Sewanee and Tulane,
No,
right?
Lord, no, no. You're a little late. That was Lonnie and Ray, and you're a little, you're a little late.
Yeah, but I think Tennessee's at an interesting standpoint. I know we'll talk about Vitello later, and you can say the same. They've invested so much money into the football program that it has to succeed. They have to get that return on investment, and they keep raising ticket prices with the talent fee. They keep renovating the stadium. They keep making it harder to get season tickets. And I think you have to see that return on investment. And I think, honestly, it's a monetary decision right now. Yeah, Tennessee's going 9-3, 10-2, kind of middle of the road SEC every year, competing with the big dogs but not beating them. I think as long as Tennessee's making a lot of money and is in a primetime slot, I think Tennessee will be okay with that from a football program standpoint. I think it'll be if things fall off and you start seeing it hit the pocketbook is when they'll get mad. Because like Brian mentioned, you just keep throwing money at the problem, and win or loss, obviously you want to win, but you keep throwing money at the problem and you keep making money. It feels a lot better losing and being rich than, not lose or, being broke. So I think it all just comes down to a money thing, and that's honestly what it chalks up to now.
And is there any guarantee the more money you spend, the better you're going to be? I mean, look at the Yankees. I know it's baseball and baseball's different, but I mean, you could get this NIL thing could be going, and guys could be making. You ever see those things, Caleb? I'm sure you do on Facebook where they show where are they now? The top 10 quarterback prospects of they're pumping gas, they're doing this. You just never know. It's those 3-star guys. It's the development of talent. Can you develop talent anymore in the NIL area? I mean, if you're the guy that recruits Cam Scatteroo at, wherever he was, San Francisco State or Sacramento State, I mean, those are the guys that saw talent early, and then who's going to pay them the big bucks? I mean, it's still going to be the crapshoot. It's still going to be the portal, but it's going to be a lot of money.
And I think you see that a little bit. Sorry to cut you off, Mike, but I think you see that a little bit with Tennessee at their positions where they do develop good talent. Look at the running backs. Deshaun Bishop was a 3-star that had an offer to Coastal Carolina, and the only reason he's not at Coastal is because the coach left. He's one of the best running backs in the SEC right now. Yeah. Look on Tennessee's defensive line. They've turned 3-star talents all across that defensive line last year and this year into NFL prospects. Obviously, James Pierce everybody talks about, but some of those guys, like Amari Thomas, was a Jeremy Pruitt recruit that did nothing under Pruitt and took years to develop, but when he did, was a staple on that defensive line. The problem is you don't see it across the board with Tennessee, and I think that's where they lack right now. I circle like safety as a position where you don't see that development. A guy like Andre Turrentine transferred in from Ohio State, I think 3 years ago now, and I'd be willing to bet if you turn on his tape 3 years ago and you turn on his tape today, it's pretty similar versus – so I think once Tennessee gets that development across the board, they'll reach that upper echelon. And then, like you said, you can combine money. Hey, we'll get 5 stars out of the portal with, hey, we got a 4-star 3 years ago who's now ready to be an all-SEC football player.
The goals and the sites for programs have changed. There's more pressure on administration and athletic directors in schools, and there's more pressure on coaches, and there's more pressure on players because in football there was a time here at Tennessee, and I'm singling them out a little bit, when you go 2-2 and you go to a pretty good bowl game, or a 9-3 and go into a pretty good bowl game, and everybody was happy, looking toward next year. We got everything going. Now it's just playoffs.
Yeah.
If you don't go to the playoffs, you better not preach about having a pretty good season at 9-3 or 8-4, Brian. You see where I'm coming from here?
Yep. Yeah.
It's a whole different landscape, huh?
Yeah, and because like I mentioned early in the Josh Heupel era, New Year's Six Bowl was like, heaven came down itself on Knoxville. But now you're right, it's a playoff berth, and I think there's good things and bad things. It's obviously a little bit easier now for coaches to reach that because you've got 12 teams, and they're going to expand again, I'm sure. And so it's not as hard of just New Year's Six Bowls plus the playoff.
Yep.
But also, you lose out on that New Year's Six Bowl money and that experience for those players. So it's twofold. Before long, once they expand, it'll be not only make the playoff, but get to the second round of the playoff. Because if the Big 12 can have their way, every team in the country will be in the playoff like it's FCS football.
Yeah. And I can't see I can't see buyouts getting any better. Coaches know what's going on here, and when they take a job, they're going to negotiate the biggest buyout that they can get, aren't they, Brian?
Sure,
I mean, you
absolutely,
would and I
yeah,
would
yeah,
because heck, fire, you're going to give me a 5-year deal. Well, I may not make it 2 years,
Right.
huh?
They
in
say
this
that's the
in
best,
this atmosphere,
Yeah, that's the best job in America. Those
Fired football coach.
fired football coaches. Heck yeah, man.
yeah. Before we get out of here, I had the toughest games remaining on the schedule, the ball schedule. We had Alabama, previously ranked up there at the top. Then we had Oklahoma, and then we had Florida because of the way, how tough it is to play down there. And then we had Vandy and we had Arkansas. Well, the Alabama game's in the books, and Arkansas was ranked last, and we got Tennessee got by that game. But you got Oklahoma, you got Florida, and you got Vandy. So, Brian, you want to rank them in area of toughness of games remaining?
Well, I would say that that Oklahoma, depending on which team shows up, could be a tough game. They've got a great defense. It didn't look so great against Texas, but I know they've got a good defense. Venable always has those guys ready to play. Florida is just a crapshoot with Tennessee. I think that Tennessee has a mental block with Florida, the way that Florida State had a mental block with Miami in the 90s. And then Vanderbilt, I saw today where they've got a 5-star quarterback coming to visit. So now five stars are visiting Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and game day's over there today.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, so and that game's where? Is it in Neyland this year?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think of those three left. I think Oklahoma's the one. If I was a UT guy, that would be the one I'd worry about the most.
Yeah, coming up next week.
Yeah, they are sacking everybody. I mean, they are a sack machine. So,
Caleb?
I think Oklahoma is the toughest for sure, for the simple fact that their offense can score a lot of points, and we've not seen Tennessee's defense play good. And what Oklahoma has that Tennessee hasn't faced is a really good defense. Because like Brian mentioned, Oklahoma is one of the best teams in the country getting you behind the chains. And with Tennessee's offense, that messes up completely the flow of wanting to run up tempo and wanting to get first downs and move fast. So I think that's a game that's scary. Luckily for Tennessee, it'll probably be a night game in Neyland Stadium. I would go 2 Florida and then 3 Vanderbilt.
You would?
Because something happens when Tennessee gets on that plane and goes to Gainesville. It's just – I don't know if it's something in the air or they just don't like that locker room. There's a very clear mental block there. And once again, Florida is going to be playing like a team with nothing to lose.
Yep.
And I wonder what Vanderbilt and Diego Pavia looked like last week of the season. And again, that one's at Neyland, and it'll be a noon game, I think, or a 3:30 game. So you get the Neyland bump there. But it's hard to bet on Tennessee having success in Gainesville.
Yeah. I'm going to go Oklahoma. I'm going to go Vandy, because they're playing so well, and they got a winnable game today against Missouri, ranked team, and then I'm going to go Florida. I just think I stick a fork in them. I think they got too much. This is not a normal season to go play Florida down there. They're kind of in disarray, and I think by the time we get down there, I don't know, they may be wanting to cancel the game. I don't know, but.
Still have a 5-star quarterback.
We'll see. I understand that.
That's what 5-star quarterbacks
They
get
still
you.
have a 5-star quarterback, and he threw, 5 interceptions against LSU?
Yeah, but he's a 5-star.
Yeah,
I understand. I understand. Hey, it's time for a break. When we return, it's the Boyd Sports Spotlight. You're listening to the Goatee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Boyd's Sports Spotlight segment, brought to you by Fast Signs.
It's not the same with just us, Mike.
No, it's just not.
Wow.
There's just not enough wind blowing, is there?
I wasn't prepped on
and
that.
And Brian's over here. He just,
I don't know what to do.
You're right. Right. Hey, we got some national news, and I'm going to start with some national news right here locally, because it made national news. Tony Vitello broke the hearts of the Tennessee faithful last week. Boy, it was a rough week last week.
Yeah.
Caleb, you know, you lose to Alabama and you lose Vitello as
and
the
the news of
manager,
Vitello came out the same day you lose to Alabama.
I'm telling you right now, that's a tough week. He was named the new manager of the San Francisco Giants. First time in Major League Baseball history that a big league team has hired a manager from a college program without any experience as a professional coach. Now, they've hired people out of college to be hitting coaches and pitching coaches, Brian, but this is a managerial situation, and from my end of it, just my own feelings, and you can zero in on this, he didn't have any decision. I mean, you know, if you're looking to go up the ladder, he's already won a national championship in college. He can always go back to college coaching if it doesn't work out, and he'll be in line for any major college job in the country based on what he's done. Take the leap, go to the pros, coach in the majors, the dream of everybody. Take the money. I think he didn't have a choice. I think he made the right move. What do you think?
You're saying is follow the Nick Saban route: win a national championship, go to the pros, suck, and then go back to college. And I got to ask you guys this: why would anybody want to leave Knoxville and live in San Francisco? And not only that, I know he's taking less money, but after the taxes out there, he'll be making less than, you know, 3 of us do. Yeah. I mean, they're going to tax him to death, and then he's going to pay some ridiculous amount to live in a, 1,200 square foot shanty out there. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I would understand going to the Braves maybe, or something like that. But I don't get moving to California. I mean, maybe that's what he wanted, but man, for me, that just seems like a hard financial decision to get. I mean, there's a reason Tiger Woods moved to Florida. There's a reason those golfers don't live in California anymore. It's just too hard to make a living.
Yeah.
Caleb, it's the San Francisco Giants. It's Willie Mays. It's Willie McCovey. It's all the great
8 World Series titles.
It's all the great tradition of the Giants, and they come calling for a college coach.
It's Buster Posey. Buster Posey.
That's proved his worth in the college level. It's like driving in NASCAR and you won 6 Cup championships. Why are you staying in NASCAR? Go someplace else and go to the next step and try something different. I like what he's done. I really do.
I think for him, I mean, aside from the San Francisco part, which is a valid argument, I think it's just a top 10 organization that has a young leadership who wants to, switch things up and try something new. And the problem with the Giants is we're never sitting here talking about the Giants not wanting to spend money. They just can't get the players. And I think having Vitello there will help them get some players when they get in those bidding wars. And, yeah, I think, for him, he really had nothing to lose in my eyes, because if you go to San Francisco and you're good, they're going to worship you and he's going to stay there forever. If he's middle of the road, he might stay 5 or 6 years and then leave. And if he's bad, at the end of all of those outcomes, any college in America is going to hire him to be their head coach if he wants to come back to college baseball, which I would figure if it does go wrong, he'll be back in college baseball. So, again, I don't think he has anything to lose. It's an unprecedented move. And also for him, it'll be 162 games versus 60-plus, but it'll be all baseball. There won't be any contract negotiations. There won't be any recruiting like he has to deal with now. It'll be all baseball, and whether for good or bad, I think he'll figure out real quick if he likes professional baseball over college.
The Giants have not won a playoff berth in the past 4 years, and Brian, they've got the Dodgers out there. The Dodgers,
That's tough.
The Dodgers, they're hanging over your head. Huh? That's going to be a tough deal.
By the way, could you believe they lost last night? I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It was 11-4, right?
Yeah.
I would believe
beatdown.
if they lost, but losing that bad is
9
crazy.
runs
Yeah,
in the 6th inning.
Don't
9.
want to change the subject right here, but
yeah,
that team's from Canada, and we've cut off trading with Canada. Is the series over?
Yeah.
Is the series over? We're done now? I mean, it's off.
No American beer at
it's
their
all
stadium.
done.
Right. I had
Toronto wins 1-0. The series is over.
You got to be careful. though. Brian's a businessman.
Yeah.
Not all of their teams are in Canada.
Yeah. Is there going to be a tariff imposed on Toronto that's extra special?
Yeah, can't come to the games. You're out. Hey, will the Giants players accept a guy with no professional experience?
I
A little bit
think-
of pressure there.
Yeah, I think Tony Vitello being so good at building relationships, I think will help. And you also have to look at the landscape of professional baseball right now. There's so many guys, that are from the college ranks that are in the professional at the highest level right now. And a lot of them are expedited through the minor leagues. And I think that'll help Tony too, especially when you get in that locker room of, he'll have a guy he coached in there as well. But a lot of those guys are going to be familiar with college baseball and know, hey, this guy's a winner at the college level, and they want to be a winner at the major league level. And honestly, at the end of the day, the Giants were, I think, 2 games out of the playoffs. So they're really bringing Tony Vitello in to say, can you win us 6 or 7 more games and seal up that playoff berth? And again, the players get paid either way, no matter who the manager is. So I think they're incentivized to play. But I think he's a relationships guy, and I think that'll help him when he gets into that clubhouse to try to build some relationships. And I think winning a national title and winning as well as he did at the college level will help. And even the guys who didn't go to college are going to know who he is because he recruited them out of high school. If you're playing for the San Francisco Giants, you were probably either, if you're not an international player, you're one of the top players in high school. So they're going to know who he is, and I think that'll help as well.
Hey,
And he'll have to surround himself with big league coaches, and I think that'll help. Get a veteran, maybe a veteran bench coach, a veteran hitting coach that can help ease some of the learning curve there.
Yeah. Brian, Tony Vitello, when he was over here, he pushed the boundaries and made in the college ranks with umpires. He was known to have a little fiery altercations with umpires. Where's he going to stand with major league umpires? How much crap are they going to take up from a guy that's right out of the college?
Yeah, I don't think a whole lot. I don't think he's going to have the same. He's not going to strike fear in the hearts of any major league. I want to throw something else out there too about San Francisco, and just about players that I had read, and I wanted to look it up and make sure I had my numbers right. And they talk about the money that those guys are spending for players. I'm sure San Francisco will open up the pocketbook and get Tony's take on who he wants to bring in. But Shohei is being paid $700 million, right? You know what the Dodgers made this year? 740. That's what they made this year. And most of it on the back of Ohtani, sales of licensed products and all that kind of stuff. That's amazing to me. You think, well, Shohei's making that over 10 years. Big deal. Baseball is a money-making machine. And Major League Baseball, like the NFL, has learned to monetize just about everything. So I don't think Tony's going to have any worries out there in San Francisco about whether they can afford this guy or that guy. I think you're right. I think if they're going to want to play for Tony, they'll be able to come play for Tony at any price. Yeah. So.
And he's friends with, Max Scherzer is a guy who's spoken highly of him. He coached in college. He was riding horses up here in Blount County with Bryce Harper. So, again, like I said,
Are you saying that Bryce Harper's going to San Francisco?
No, I'm saying that even if guys don't know Tony, they know that, big leaguers like him, and there's a reason for that.
Well, he had some contacts in Major League Baseball with players and other people that helped get him players over here at UT, from what I understand. So.
Please put it on Twitter, everyone, that Caleb says Bryce Harper is headed to San Francisco, along with Max Scherzer.
That clip will look real nice if it actually happens. Don't bet on it. This is not betting advice.
Tony Vitello at San Francisco. Long leash, short leash.
I think Buster Posey's job relies on him, probably. I would say long-ish leash. I'd go on the longer side. I think they'll give him longer than 1 or 2 years. I'd say probably 3 to 4 is the range, where by that point, Tony will know if he likes professional baseball or not, and by that point, you'll know if he's going to be successful or not, and I think that'll determine it. So a little buffer period. But like I said, they were 2 games out of the playoffs last year, and this is a team that wants to invest and make it to the postseason.
Yeah, short leash.
Well, I just think that Buster Posey, just for the record, I was in the house the night that Buster Posey played all 9 positions, hit a grand slam, and struck out the only 2 batters that he faced. He can do anything.
Which is more surprising, Brian? Notre Dame hiring Jerry Faust out of high school, or the San Francisco Giants hiring Tony Vitello with no professional experience?
I think if you gauge that by under today's microscope, I would say without a doubt the hiring of a high school coach. But hey, look, Miami did it and won a national championship.
Yeah. We got some other sports news out there. Betting scandal, NBA. What do you think?
Mike, were you involved in that at all?
No. But I was thinking of something the other day. My brother brought to my attention. I wasn't eligible to play at UT as a freshman.
Was that because of gambling?
So I played. The rule wasn't in place. So I had three years, and we questioned if I got some NIL backing. That's why I've got you in here this morning. I need some NIL backing.
Okay.
The way I look at it, I got a year of eligibility left. And if I go and go through the courts, and they're pretty lenient right now, get my year back. I know I'm going to be 75 next weekend, but it'll take me a year to get. I've got 2 years. I could spend 1 year getting in shape. They could redshirt me a year. I'd have the other year to play, and I don't really care whether I get into the games or not. If I've got the NIL backing, that's fine.
It's all about
the
money.
If they do put me in the game, it's going to be in the last minute. You know what? And what they do in the last minute? They say, just hold the ball out there until the clock runs out. No, don't shoot it or anything.
Right.
What do you think, Brian?
Well,
are you willing to invest in something like that or not?
I think it's a good idea. I think that they could. Is it the Pavia rule now? It could become the Greenfield Gunner rule.
Yeah.
Good.
And really, it really is all about advertising. As the kids say, it's all about the gram. So if you could just get to where you could come in and take pictures with all the co-eds and just be the guy on campus, I think it's a reasonable thing to think that you could get.
The crowd's just waiting for you to go in. What do you think?
I see a Lambo in your future.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think you just need to get good at poker. Screw the eligibility. Just start wearing some of these glasses and counting cards.
Oh, okay.
Hey, that's not a bad idea.
Comment on this. What's going on here with the NBA?
I think the funniest part of it all is in the FBI report. They gave them mob names. Like they call the defendants Flappy, Juice, Big Bruce, that sort of thing for this. But it's crazy. You've got like Chauncey Billups has had success as a head coach. He's a Hall of Famer. None of these guys are hurting for money.
Well, and here's the other thing. Did you see the full amount? $7 million. Is that really anything in today's money? Is that anything with these guys?
For us, yeah, but for these guys, it's like 1 year of basketball.
Yeah, would they throw their whole lives away by doing something stupid for $7 million?
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But listen, when you've got a lot of money and you got a lot of time, that's not a really good ratio.
Right.
And now you're looking at
what I don't
get off this. We got college kids now that the NCAA appears that they're going to let them bet their coaches and players on
terrible.
pro games. Now you got all that NIL money out. They're like the pro. They got a lot of money and a lot of time, Brian. I just don't. I don't see the good. That's
You know what idle hands are good for, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I
Why
mean,
you would let
for
those kids
people
gamble.
for people who don't understand why NCAA gambling would be bad, like a lot of the let's say for example, Tennessee has a quarterback go to the draft. He's a starter for one of the 32 NFL teams. All these kids at Tennessee are still friends with him. They just played with him. They could easily fix those games, and that quarterback could text, a random defensive lineman who's still at Tennessee and say, "Hey, our star wide receiver is out. Bet the under this week." And that's insider trading.
Right.
But now it's legal. And that's why it hasn't
Right.
been, for the longest time, athletics employees couldn't bet, players couldn't bet. If you worked anywhere in the NCAA, you couldn't bet. And they just keep, loosening the reins. And people will argue, well, the rules are so strict, people try to get around it. The NBA had some of the least strict rules out there about gambling. I think all of their rules where you just can't gamble on the NBA, and they're in the news once every 3 months,
Yeah.
it feels like.
I don't know. And I don't know where it's going to go from here. There may be a lot more people involved in what they've got they're talking about. So
There
we'll
has
see.
to be if they're making it
Yeah.
this a big, because $7
think?
million. I mean, really?
Apparently, I saw a thing yesterday that the FBI talked to LeBron and Kevin Garnett. And Kevin Garnett is funny because he was in that movie with Adam Sandler, which was all about betting not too long ago.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Let me tell you about betting. It's not set up for you to win. If it was set up for you to win, everybody'd be doing it.
Right.
But you talk to people. It's that bets. They'll say, "Hey, I won $500 last week." Well, that's great. How much did it take you to win the 500? It's always that amount that they won. Doesn't they don't talk about how much it took to get there.
And then you get situations like last week in Tuscaloosa. On replay, it looks like Joey Aguilar scored. But they didn't review it because the game was over and the players were shaking hands. Well, gamblers bet on that.
Right.
And so they lost money because they just didn't review it. And that's stuff you can't control.
Yeah. Right.
So it's just and I've obviously with the scandal, there's been so many stories about some people are so addicted to gambling that they're in the shower on their phone gambling, and it's just stuff you
Indiana
it's crazy.
The Indiana game last week, it was a 25.5-point spread. The other team kicked a field goal down 100 points. Knocked the spread.
Oh.
Didn't cover the spread because they kicked a field goal.
Yeah.
A meaningless field goal, being down 40 points.
And people will be like, "Oh, the coaches just pay attention to it." That coach probably had no clue. He just wanted to send his kicker out there to.
Yeah, some experience or whatever.
Because they started faking. Wisconsin was faking punts in the fourth quarter, and people always scream insider betting.
Hey, I got a few on this Dayton sports history. 1950, Branch Rickey resigns as the Brooklyn Dodgers president. 1951, future heavyweight boxing champion Rocky Marciano defeats former champion Joe Louis by TKO in the 8th round at Madison Square Garden. 1960, the Washington Senators moved to become the Minnesota Twins. That was approved by Major League Baseball. And then we had 2 new franchises approved that same year, the LA Angels and the Washington, D.C. Senators. And the season approved to grow from 154 to 162 games. 1968, George Foreman wins an Olympic heavyweight gold medal in Mexico City. 1980, the St. Louis Cardinals sack Baltimore Colt quarterbacks an NFL record tying 12 times in one day.
Golly.
Who wants to play quarterback? I don't want to play today. Put somebody else in for me. 1982, Major League Baseball's Philadelphia Phillies Steve Carlton becomes the first pitcher to win 4 Cy Young Awards. 1986, French McLaren driver Alain Prost retains his Formula One World Drivers' Championship. 1986, I know Brian will remember this, trailing 5-3, 2 outs and no one on in the bottom of the 10th. New York Mets rally and win Game 6 of the World Series. Bill Buckner, first baseman, pretty good defensive player all through his career.
And that's a weird
Let
part.
it get away.
Even though I was in Florida, I was a diehard Red Sox fan.
Yeah, they had it won.
That hurt.
They had a game won.
That hurt.
Yeah. 1997, Jacques Villeneuve wins the F1 World Champion, first Canadian to win that championship. Deaths, October the 25th, Bobby Riggs Bobby Riggs, tennis player, died at 77. Battle of the Sexes against Billie Jean King. Remember that?
I do remember.
Brian?
I was pretty young, but I remember that, yeah.
Payne Stewart, the golfer, passed away at 42. He won the U.S. Open in 1991 and 1999. He died in a plane crash. And Bill Sharman, Basketball Hall of Fame guard in 1987 with the Boston Celtics, great player with the Celtics, and he went out and coached the Lakers NBA championship. Birthdays, 1939, Zelmo Beatty was born. He died in 2013, pro basketball player with the St. Louis Hawks, the Utah Stars, and the LA Lakers. 1940, Brian, Bobby Knight. Died in 2023, Hall of Fame basketball coach, won, I believe, 3 national championships.
Still
at
my favorite.
Indiana. Yeah.
Still my favorite.
Yeah,
He didn't like those chairs.
not been the same since. Yeah,
No.
I can remember that chair throw. My parents were big Indiana fans, and I had the game on that night, and he threw that chair across the court. And I called home, and I said, my mom answered the phone. I said, man, he's done. He said, well, I said, what do you think about him throwing that chair all the way across the court? Those officials were so bad, he should have put that chair right across their head. That's what she told me. That's what she told me.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, all kinds of Bob Knight stories out there, but great basketball coach. Kind of the guy you either love him or hated him, right?
I loved
Brian?
him. Man, I loved
Pretty
him.
much.
Yeah. They'll never
Always had some type of satire going on. You know?
And now you can't even look sideways at a player without him calling the media and his mom and tweeting it and whatever. I mean, yeah, Bob Knight's he was a dying breed. And I don't think there'll be ever be anybody like him.
I got a Bob Knight story. My mom and dad went down there. My dad built these. He worked at Eli Lilly, and he'd take these cardboard boxes and he would make outhouses, and they were really impressive out of cardboard boxes. So he said, "I'm going to make one for Bob Knight." And he put up an Indiana book inside the outhouse. It was really nice. Took it down to IU, and they pulled up to Assembly Center, and they pulled up and looked, and Knight was getting out of his car. And Mom and Dad go, "Hey, there's Bob Knight right there." So Dad had the bag and got out of the car, and Coach Knight had this awful look on his face, and Dad said, "Hey, I got something for you, Coach Knight," and said, "I've made some." Oh, and he goes, "Oh, I'm glad you said made something for me. I thought you had a bomb in there or something." And he went in there and talked to my mom and dad, they said for 3 or 4 hours in the office right there. Just talked to him. And he recruited me when he was at West Point. He was the coach at Army, and I was a senior in high school. He came by the school. He remembered that, and then his assistant athletic director, Steve Downing, played on our all-star team in '69. So they had a lot of conversations. Well, a couple of years after that, Knight calls Dad at the house and says, "Hey, look, we won a national championship that year. You brought that outhouse down here. Have you got anything? Have you got anything else in the works?" And my dad says, "Coach, sure enough, I do, but I'm waiting on you to get some talent down there." I'll never forget that. But they always said that he was just an entirely different guy than he was when he coached. And my uncle had a farm in southern Indiana, and the day of a lot of basketball games, he called my uncle and wanted to come and hunt on his farm. And he would do his hunting, and then he would always want to take my uncle to lunch, and they would go to lunch. And then Knight would say, "Now I want you to come down for a basketball game. You just tell me which game you'd like to come to." He says, "I want to come to the Purdue game, and if you can sit me right behind the bench, that would be fine." And he would. He'd bring him down there for one game. And
wow.
But anyway, a lot of good stories about Bob Knight. 1948, Dan Issel, NBA coach and player, played at Kentucky. What a great player he was. In 1948, birthday, Dave Cowens, pro basketball player, an 8-time All-Star with the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks. Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, we'll be back to close out today's show. You're listening to the GOTee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
To the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, and I'm here with Brian Johnson of Go Tees and Caleb Giroux of the Daily Times, and I've got my brother in here from Indiana. John Edwards has come in here, and Indiana's got a big game today against, for all you people here in Knoxville, I know you're interested in UCLA, as they're headed to Bloomington, and they got Nico Iamaleava.
What time is that game?
That game's at
Right
12 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
12 o'clock on
All
Fox.
right. All right.
Indiana, unbelievable. Indiana, the basketball school forever, is number two in the nation in football, and they're going into today's game at 7-0 and 4-0. They don't have Michigan on their schedule this year. They do not have Ohio State on the schedule. They got Penn State at Penn State, and that's just about all that stands in the way of the Hoosiers in the playoffs this season. They would have the Big Ten championship game that they would need to play, but things are looking really good. And John, Coach Signetti, what a job he has done at Indiana after coming from James Madison University. I like the quote he had last week when they asked him about his team. He says, "I tell my team to throw away the rear view mirrors."
Yeah,
I like
he
that. I
does.
like that. Get rid of them rear view mirrors. Don't look there.
Yeah, he's always looking forward. His thing is just win. We're just winning. That's all we're doing. And he's not a toot your horn kind of guy. He's just all business. And he goes from one week to the next and doesn't look back. Texted my son this morning. I said, they're a 25-point favorite against UCLA, and they're ranked number 2 in the nation. And I'm going, man, this is really bizarre for a football pro. This is what we do in basketball usually, and the football program's really come back and really done a good job. So it's just fun. I'm going to ride the wave as long as we can, and as long as they stay healthy. We've got a quarterback, unbelievable. He's second right now in the Heisman Trophy run. So we'll see how the season progresses, and if they can stay healthy, I think they're going to be a real contender. A lot of those guys on ESPN and throughout the country are saying they may have the best football program right now in the nation, and they're really winning it in the trenches.
They're going to have a chance to prove that if they win out, because they're going to get the Buckeyes in that championship game, and that will relieve that. If they can maintain that 2 spot and Ohio State 1, that'll set up the match to find out who's got the best team.
If they continue to play and really run the tables to the end of the season, and they were able to play Ohio State and beat Ohio State, that could possibly determine your Heisman Trophy winner.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that'll be Ohio State's biggest game, because Texas hasn't turned out to be much of anything in that win.
Yeah, as the season progresses, you got guys that may have been in the top 5 that are now, let's talk about Brian Kelly. So,
Yeah, if you're comparing Ohio State at this point, Ohio State they're hanging their hat on Texas, but on the other hand, Indiana's hanging their hat on Oregon. The win out there.
Yeah.
There's no comparison there when you're hanging hats in the Big Ten between those two teams, in
Right.
my opinion. Yeah.
You know, that Oregon game, like I said, if you took out 2 plays, the big 44-yard touchdown and the pick 6, that wasn't even a close game. They really manhandled Oregon, and they were ranked 3rd in the nation at the time. So they got a solid program. I know there's always they don't have the schedule, Big Ten this, Big Ten that, SEC. Who cares? Man, who cares? They got to just win that next game and work towards, the final, the playoffs. So we'll see.
Well, if you win them all, you got no argument. You got no argument as far as the playoffs, because if
No,
you're Power
not at
4
all.
and you win them all, the only school that probably got the shaft was your team down there at Florida State when they went undefeated and they weren't allowed in the playoffs because they were figuring, well, they've lost their quarter. Too bad. I don't care whether they lost their quarterback or not. They should have been in the playoffs. There's other people on that team besides that quarterback that deserve to be in the playoffs.
And that's had some long-lasting effects
Yeah,
for
I
us.
think
that's,
so.
That's just horrible.
I
But
think
anyway.
so.
But hey, we beat Alabama by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
But
got
hey,
some. They got something to hang their hat on down there, but they don't have the record right now to get into
No,
the playoffs.
no.
You want to talk about money too? Who thought that Indiana would ever be able to go into Oregon with all the Nike money that Oregon has and manhandle them? like
Not
that?
me. Not
Didn't
me.
Phil Knight say that it was unlimited? And not what he said? Yeah, unlimited.
They get whatever they want
Yeah.
because Phil Knight's getting old and he wants to see him win a championship.
Yeah.
So he said they can get whatever they want.
I tell you what impresses me about this Indiana football team is the fact that they're solid on offense and defense. Now you see some teams that's got some holes on offense, or they might have some holes on defense, but this is a well-rounded football team that really doesn't beat themselves in football games. And well coached.
Winning games in the trenches, really, they're winning their games in the offensive line and the defensive line, and they're very strong. Indiana's only weak point is that they have a tendency to give up a big play. And when that happens, in any game, that can really be a turning point.
Yeah.
So they're solid. No frills. Like Oregon, they go into a game and it's all about their uniforms and this and that. And IU just goes in there with their dumb uniforms now that Cignetti's the coach, and they're just playing good football.
Well, UCLA comes in today, and they've been hard to figure out. They lost their first 4, and they didn't even they looked like they had
weren't
never
competitive.
They didn't look like they could even they didn't even been on a football field. Just disorganized. Didn't look like they were well coached. Looked like they didn't have the right plan for Nico back there at quarterback. But the last 3 games, they've looked like a different football team. They've had to come all the way cross country now to go into Indiana to play a team that's really on top of their game. John, any concerns today about Indiana getting up for UCLA, or do you think Cignetti is good enough to say, hey, look, this is not the UCLA that started the year?
Yeah, you and I have talked a lot about big game, next game.
Exactly.
And you can be beat on any day. And, a lot of these teams right now, particularly this time of season with 3 wins, season's running out, and a lot of these teams want to go to a bowl game. So you're going to see a lot of upsets, and that has my concern. But this UCLA game coaches new coach, new offensive coordinator, and somehow or another they've been able to really sew together a good program up there, and this could be a close game today.
Yeah.
I think a lot closer than a 25-point spread. So we'll see.
You talked about the old games at Indiana. I know when I was back, Indiana went to the Rose Bowl back in 1967. They had an excellent football team, but they had what they called at the stadium the Knothole Club. And the Knothole Club, as a high school football player, you could pay $1, show your Knothole ticket, and get into all the Indiana football games. And John, now my Knothole ticket probably wouldn't hold up down there.
My youngest son was a student there for 4 years, and we went to a lot of ball games because it was an easy ticket. So let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
That stadium was never
Something
full.
to do on a fall day.
And it was
Kill some time.
Leaves are changing. Let's go down and watch a game at Bloomington.
right. And it was a lot of fun, but we looked at the schedule at the beginning of the season. It was just what 6 teams can we beat to get into a playoff, and that's the way it was, and that was fun. But now it's different.
And you parked at a church right across the street.
Oh, my God.
And it was really cheap, but that church has really found religion now. The prices for the parking lot's gone up.
Used to just be a donation to the church to put towards their you know, whatever
Yeah,
they. And
yeah.
so now it's the university, I guess, you know, owns that parking lot now, and they're $300 a car. So
Yeah.
I like that.
Don't have to pass the collection
Man,
plate on
no.
Sundays anymore.
Right. I like that seat now in front of my TV. You know, front row.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we had a lot of fun
Yeah,
those
well, it's
years.
a great story. Another great story, Brian, is Georgia Tech. You know, down there in Atlanta, they're 7-0. They're number 7 in the country, and I know they play Syracuse today at 3-4. But they're a 17.5-point favorite. But I think that's a great story. You know, it's been a long. I mean, it's back in the '60s since Georgia Tech, I think, has been to this point.
Yeah, whatever.
What do you think?
I think
You're an ACC guy.
yeah,
Fill
but
us in on the
I think-
Yellow Jackets.
I think if Duke hadn't have fumbled on the 1-yard line, you know, that's a Duke win last week or whatever, week before, whatever it was. I don't put much stock into Georgia Tech, but you know, they haven't played anybody. We'll see when they play somebody. If they play anybody, I don't have any idea. But
No.
I did want to mention one more thing about Indiana. I think that they've found the magic formula that other teams need to follow. Recruit 3 stars. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
You're getting guys that want to play football, that want to prove themselves. And these 4- and 5-star guys just seem to be just nothing but just overhyped duds.
And I know that there's a lot of people out there that think, well, they're not for real. The Big Ten's not as good as the SEC and maybe some of the other conferences. They got maybe 3 teams in there that are really good. But you look at Indiana, and Signetti's been in there 2 years, and he brought a lot of players from James Madison. You know, that
Yeah,
first
right.
year, they didn't lose. They lost 2 games. They lost to Ohio State and Notre Dame. That's
Well,
it. That's
well-
all he's lost to since he's been there.
Well, keep in mind Tennessee's quarterbacks from Appy State. I mean, so it's I mean,
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
players that go to these other schools, they're not like they're not, you know, Power 5 guys. I think a lot of them are. You just
Yeah.
got to
Well,
something has to click.
if you're looking at the transfer portal and the NIL and that sort of thing, and you're looking at high school kids coming out from a high school program, and you're looking at somebody that played at Appalachian State or at James Madison, it's really a no-brainer. They've already got college experience, even though it's not Power 4. They got better experience than a guy coming right out of high school.
Well, I mean, look at somebody like, you know, Florida State's Jared Verse, who came from a junior college to play at Florida State, and then he won Defensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, you just don't know.
They're hungry.
Yeah, they're
Those
hungrier.
3 stars are hungry. They
Yeah.
want to make a
Yeah.
you know, statement. And,
For sure.
John, while I got you here, Minnesota is at Iowa today. Minnesota's 5-2 and 3-1. Iowa's 5-2 and 3-1. Both of those teams only one loss in the conference. They're still in. They're still
Yeah.
in the Big Ten race, and there's a lot of Big Ten teams that are still in that race with only one loss. But that's a game. in
Yeah,
the
there's
Big Ten
a
family.
lot of good games. And that really one on the post is the Missouri Vanderbilt game. There's a game that if either team loses today, probably going to put them out of the playoff picture. But the one that wins is going to continue on and going to be strong. But Vanderbilt, boy, Lord, it's like Indiana. You're going, wait a minute. That's not a name you see up there a lot of times.
I don't want to. I know we've come down on Tennessee a little bit, both ways here this morning. We've praised them. We've been on the dark side with them a little bit. But I can tell you right now, they're not the best team in the state right now because Vanderbilt's, I hate to burst their bubble,
Right.
but Vanderbilt's number 10 and Tennessee's number 17. They are not the best team in the state ranking-wise, so to speak.
The other big game today, too, Oklahoma and
Ole
Ole
Miss.
Miss.
So
Yeah.
why is game day at Vandy and not at Ole Miss, Oklahoma? I mean, come on.
I don't know because it
Right.
may be 100 years before they can go to Nashville again.
That's probably
you
why.
better get the horses and get them in there.
I don't think
huh?
there's anything game day loves more than talking about Diego Pavia like
Yeah.
he's the second coming
Yeah.
of Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caleb
Especially-
is at. Go ahead. John.
Especially
No,
if Theo
Caleb-
Vaughn is there.
Oh yeah, they love him.
Yeah.
Theo Vaughn and Jelly Roll are a fan of every team in the SEC. It just depends what day of the week
Right,
it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, is Theo Vaughn dating Pavia's mom?
He wants to. I don't know if he is though.
Caleb is a
That's
time to
stuff
get
that
out.
That's stuff that Mike thinks about over the weekend. About
Yeah. Come back next week and let us know if Theo Vaughn is
Hey,
dating Diego Pavia's
Texas A&M LSU today.
Yeah,
mom. That'll be. It's
Hey.
raining.
Yeah.
It's raining all day in Baton Rouge.
Hey,
that team is terrible.
all of the big games, week in and week out. There's going to probably be at least 3, maybe 4
Yeah.
in the Big Ten, or not the Big Ten, but in the SEC that are going to be very meaningful games. And today they've got 3 big ones that we'll be watching. And
Well,
so
It's time to wrap it up, Mike. You got
All
a
right.
whistle?
You got a whistle. Who's got a whistle? There we go. There we go. That's the best we can do till Donnie Moore gets back with us.
How about a Ric Flair?
we-
Woo!
We hope that he will be back and Marcos will be back with us
Best wishes
next
to
week. And-
Donnie. You know,
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
you know, hope
Yeah.
everything works out
Yeah.
well.
Obviously, this show misses him.
Yeah.
We just
We
about
do.
We just about messed up.
And John,
everything
thanks for
tonight.
dropping by
When
and
you
giving
gotta
us the
bring a
lowdown
guy-
on IU. And
When you got to bring a guy like me
yeah.
in to, you know,
Yeah.
fill some space.
no, we're happy to have you.
So anyhow,
Yeah.
but thank you guys.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, Brian, good to see you. And
Good to see you.
Yeah, and Caleb, hope to see you again. Good
John,
job this
can we
morning.
have
That's
you
how-
back another time to tell nothing but Mike Edwards stories?
No.
Oh, we can't. I forgot about that. I have a story. I really do.
Next time.
We only got
Next time.
that will take
Doggone it.
about 40 seconds to get all of those in, so we'll have plenty of time.
It's a good
Hey,
one, too.
Yeah. Hey, that'll do it for today's edition of the Goatee Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael back at Loud Media, our host of Blue Tick Tavern, and all our sponsors. Until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the Goatee Sports Page. The best in local sports since 1978.